Welcome to a very special episode of Zebec's Future of Money series. Today, we are joined by Lisa Robbins, who has over 50 years of experience in the payroll and payment sectors. Lisa has had C-suite positions at ADP and was also the head of ADP's M&A strategy. She's incredibly knowledgeable and deep within the payroll and payment space. Without question, she's a subject matter expert, and we are very fortunate and grateful to have us. Lisa, thank you for joining us for the Future of Money series today. We appreciate your time, and I know our listeners are greatly looking forward to learning more about you, your background, and most importantly, your thoughts about the industry.
Oh, thank you, Neil, and I appreciate that lovely introduction. I look forward to talking to you today.
Absolutely. So, Lisa, looking back at your time at ADP, what would you say were some of the most significant or most notable challenges that you and ADP faced? Obviously, we all know ADP, massive payroll company, has massive scale. So, certainly, there are going to be some issues or struggles or challenges that are unique to a company at that scale. And kind of the second part of that question would be, how did ADP go about overcoming those challenges?
Right. So, interestingly enough, I started at ADP when it was a $400 million business and it was just payroll. And I ended when it was a $15 billion business that was human capital management, a million customers, 50 solutions. And the reality of it is that the challenges were the same, just at, wildly different scale. So the first challenge, which pretty much all businesses have, but in particular in the payroll business, which is macroeconomic, right? So payroll and the pricing around payroll and payments related to payroll are very much tied to employment. They're tied to hires, the number of people that are transacting. The toughest challenges actually were keeping up with the pace of innovation. So when you are software, a SaaS, or an innovation technology company, it's extraordinary the pace with which you need to continuously improve, whether it's your core solution, your core platform, your platform needs maintenance. Suddenly you have tons of competitors, which obviously in the payment and the payroll space is a lot. And you need to keep up with that competition and that technology.
Keeping up with innovation was really critical at ADP, and it can be both an opportunity and a challenge. And at Zebec, innovation really is one of the core tenets of our ethos and what we strive for every day. It's always good to hear that these are the things that make a company successful in the long run as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, fantastic. So another topic that we'd like to discuss is the idea of payroll being, quote, invisible when it's done well. And that's just to say that when folks receive a paycheck smoothly, no issue, it's almost not even in consideration. But as we all know, payroll is certainly not a super simple mechanism or a process to manage. So what are some of the hidden complexities about running payroll at scale that maybe people don't know about or might not be appreciated?
Okay. So you're right. People get their paycheck and they're like, oh, that's easy. The reality of it is that the actual generation of the payroll itself is not particularly complex, right? The complexity comes into play from the broader activities attached to payroll. Primarily the delivery of the net pay to the employee is a big one, and the additional attachment of solutions, tax filing, benefits, and HR. Evolution over time has been extraordinary, and I'm sure that it will move off of ACH. So ACH was 90%, direct deposit was 90%, now it's down to about 80. Pay card and debit cards picked up a lot of momentum. Earned wage cards are picking up momentum. But that is, to your specific question, part of those hidden complexities. The only other really substantive complexity goes around the breadth of solutions.
So moving on to the next related topic, what areas within payroll do you think are most ripe for disruption or significant improvement in the immediate future?
I think the most disruptive thing right now is artificial intelligence by a long shot. because we're not even sure where it's going to go, right? So companies that are using it in very cautious ways. Similar to anything, new technologies or entrants, they tiptoe through it sometimes. And they use it for things now like assistant, right? Like they help productivity with people. When somebody signs on to do their work during the day, they say, these are the 5 steps you should do instead of the 10. But I think that in every board meeting, every business meeting, every consulting thing that I'm in, AI is top of mind. So I'm saying that as the most disruptive, not necessarily the biggest opportunity, but the most disruptive. On the payment side, I think earned wage access is becoming a big deal. Having said that, the largest number of employees in this country work for companies under 50 pays and are not highly paid. And so the market there is enormous. I think on the payments transformation side, in addition to the cross-border and the speed, I think introducing cards like earned wage access lend themselves to an extension of employee wellness, which is a very big deal for the younger generation as well, meaning helping them with figuring out things with their finances. So your earned wage access is giving them access to money early, but are there other ways that some of these cards, and some of the companies are thinking about them, can help the same people who need to manage their money, help to manage their money better by having the movement of some of it to bill pay for discounts and things like that. So not necessarily where they're all going yet, but it is part of the talk track around the name of the game in payroll and in payments is capturing a large audience, right? So for payroll companies, capturing the employees through payroll is a vehicle through which they have sold many other things. And so that's sort of the name of the game, and getting scale and gaining sort of a very large captive audience. But cards are going to be a really big deal. Payroll companies have always been B2B. They're becoming B2C because it's a mobile first generation. They want to be able to actually input what they want, whether it's, can you give me 50% of my pay today? And then get a notification on their iPhone that they got their pay today. And so the benefit of being mobile first with 75% of the population, or ultimately more, is huge for payment opportunity.
Absolutely. Zebec's smart payment network operates actually as an AI-based payment routing network, in that it ensures all payments in the Zebec and the ZBCN network are routed in the lowest cost and lowest friction manner possible, which is obviously something that we are trying to deliver to our users. And the other thing is kind of the idea of a payment ecosystem, where now folks want an app. They want a mobile application that's very easy to use, and they want things like cards and payment cards to use. Zebec, obviously, we have an app, and I would highly recommend our users also check out our card offerings, which have been a significant success for us. And we've been very happy to hear about all of the positive feedback that the Zebec card users are giving back to our team. How do you think that these innovations are going to shape payroll as we know it? And a few others that we can throw in: EWA, instant payroll disbursement, reduced processing fees, payroll flexibility, the idea of cross-border payments. So I'd love to get your thoughts on all of those.
Yeah, I think that those are going to be the norm in terms of the way that employees and people, because it isn't just payroll, right? Payments has multiple modalities. I think that the future, and the not too far future, is going to be exactly the things you just talked about. So real-time payments, instant pay, earned wage access, a lot of these have been either embedded in payroll for a while, or there are other companies that do it. The difference is that so far, they're kind of a hodgepodge of different kind of models, and some are high cost, some come with fees, some come with an interest rate. Some of them you get the money, in 24 hours, some of them you get it instantly. It's sort of been an experiment, I would say. Except for a company like ADP, since 2006, they've had earned wage access. They've kind of mastered it in terms of how they go about doing it. The blockchain story, I think the significant value of blockchain for the payroll industry is the security aspect of the tech. Yes, there definitely are productivity aspects to it, making functions easier. And I think that that's important too. But You got to think about what a payroll company is, right? Within all their databases, all their systems, and every transaction they do is somebody's social security number or other relative number in other countries. Generally speaking, healthcare information, because they have benefits for many of them. So it has their healthcare information, it has their spouse's name, it has, everything. And the worst thing that could happen to a payroll company is a security breach. Their brand will be destroyed. We've seen it happen before, and they are ripe for bad actors because there's so much good raw data in there. Based on sort of what I look at and where we are so far in the blockchain journey, I know all the major payroll companies are looking at it, deeply, researching it, utilizing it through partnerships in a small way. I think it's got a huge future. I think it'll be embedded in multiple ways in procurement and money movement and security, but I think it will be rationally slow roll of penetration, trust of knowing that the information they have and their employees' data is safe. I think that that's where it'll have a big play is around security.
Okay, fantastic. So, Lisa, the final question is a lot of companies are moving towards more flexible pay models like earned wage access. And there's certainly a huge demand from employees for things like earned wage access, which is to just say folks can get a portion of their earned wages earlier than the normal 1 week or 2 week time frame. How do you think that this trend is going to evolve? And what do you think or what do you envision could be some operational challenges or risks that could be faced by either the companies offering EWA or potentially the companies using EWA?
So it's a good question. As I've touched on, flexible pay models are not new to the payroll industry or standalone pay card industry. However, there's still a lot of immaturity around the way they're doing it. There's fly-by-night companies that came out. They use third parties for the borrowing. They charge the employee or charge the company, depending on who it is. And they have varying levels of truly early earned wage payment, meaning it's not necessarily instant sometimes. It could be in 24 hours versus next Friday when you get paid. And either the employee needs to pay a fee or the client does. There's a few that are free, but I think that those are trials, so to speak. I do think, particularly with the demographics that are coming, that this is something that's going to evolve into the way of pay, the way that people want to get paid, the flexibility with which they want to get paid. And so I see from an opportunity standpoint, I think that it's going to have, some significant scale. In terms of challenges, there's always challenges. At the end of the day, this could be highly regulated, right? This is actually borrowing, from an old nomenclature standpoint. So somebody's going to attach themselves to it. That all comes down to being smart about your lobbying, very prescriptively have a value proposition that demonstrates that you should be the market leader. The solution is crisp and clean and likely free and truly delivering what it is, and that there are no security breaches, and that you're able to go out and have all that competition and be able to, this is how ADP got to where it was. They had hundreds of thousands of competitors, but they consistently kept innovating and doing more with the technology and the solution to make it the best of breed. And that's really where this is going to come out. It's going to be a big market and it's going to have high growth. It's just going to be a matter of execution.
Yeah, absolutely. We think that the EWA industry and solutions like that are only going to continue to grow. And one interesting thing about EWA is we certainly think it's a fantastic technology because it gives folks more ownership of their wages. And that's one of the ethos and one of the really core values and the core tenets, frankly, of everything that we do at Zebec. We want to give power back to the individual. And particularly when it comes to wages, we are actively striving to continually innovate and to continually offer folks, whether it's our Zebec card, whether it's the core Zebec streaming platform, more access and more ownership over their wages. And we also think that a kind of natural progression of some of the trends that we've spoken about is going to be real-time payments. So that's folks getting paid every second. So instead of the kind of intermediary technology of EWA, where folks get access to a certain portion of their wages for a flat fee, what we think would be even better and is going to continue to move the industry as a whole is the trend towards real-time payments and We at Zebec have been continually working on that, and our core platform and our core technology is aimed at delivering exactly that to the users of Zebec. So, Lisa, thank you so much for your time today. This has been an absolutely fascinating conversation. It's been an absolute treat to have on Zebec's Future of Money series somebody with your experience, because you've seen the industry evolve over a duration of a long time, and you've seen the challenges, the innovations, and the trends that will only continue into the future. So once again, thank you for your time. I'm sure that the listeners of the Future of Money series have learned a tremendous amount from today's conversation.
I hope so. And it's my pleasure.